It's one that we honestly forgot to include. So that's why it's coming after I already said, and that's all of them, folks. Uh, this is actually all of them until we eventually add more to these as more resorts are being built, in a decade or whenever, however long we're doing this podcast for. I'll be honest with you, Chris. I hope in a decade we're not still doing this.
No. Mm-mm.
I like you, but I think we'll run out of shit to talk about.
Yeah. Hey, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kayla. And today we're talking about a kind of weird place at Walt Disney World. It doesn't really fall into any of the categories we've talked about before.
Part of it does.
Yeah.
It's such a weird, unique
Yeah.
setup.
If you know anything about Walt Disney World, you might already know what we're talking about, but it is Fort Wilderness Resort and Campgrounds. Right? Is it Fort Wilderness Resort and Campgrounds?
Yeah.
Or is it just campgrounds? See, this is what I mean. It's weird.
It's also where we don't really want to be. It doesn't really fit our brand.
Listen,
being
my
honest.
grandparents love RVing. Okay, that's who it's for.
Yeah. So let's break it down really quickly, just so that you understand why we're like, well, where does it fit? So it is made up of two different sections, we'll call them, right? One of which is RVing, tents, true camping. And then there's another section where there's cabins, correct, which technically now fall under the deluxe category.
So weird.
It's a strange thing. However, they were just renovated. They are nice, and they are a nice option. We'll talk about them first, because if we're going to be there,
that's where we're going to be.
The cabin itself, it sleeps 6, but it's a unique setup where it does have a bedroom with a queen bed and a bunk bed in it, and then the pull-out sofa in the living room sleeps the other 2. So there is only one bathroom, though, for the 6 people. However, the other upside is there is a living room and a full kitchen in there.
A real kitchen.
Yeah, like a real kitchen. So it is probably the most economical option that's going to give you the most amount of space for a family of 6, a party of 6.
Yeah.
So for me, the downside is you're in a campground, which I actually enjoy campgrounds. However, not when I'm in Disney World, number one. Yeah. Number two, if you're not in that realm of travel, you need to understand that that's where you're going, right? The pools aren't anything fancy. You're in a very sprawling resort area.
You're taking a golf cart or a bus to get literally to your car.
Right. Maybe even to the pool.
Yeah.
So the bus that does go through there stops at 418. No, it doesn't really. But it's just so large that you
take a bus to get to a bus, literally.
Yeah, you're siloed. Yeah. You're very siloed. I think is the word. Is what I should be saying, which is fine for some people, right? So my sister stayed there all the time when her kids were growing up, because again, it gave them the most amount of space in an economic setting. But she also like road trips, and that's her jam. She understood what she was signing up for. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Do you understand what you're signing up for?
Yeah, and I think that while you're saying like the pools aren't anything great, one, you have the boat to Magic Kingdom. Granted, you're sharing that boat with other properties, so while it's not a direct shot, you are sharing it. It is? I thought you share it with Wilderness Lodge.
It's direct to Magic. Then they have the one that triangles through and around.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Wilderness, Contemporary, and Fort Wilderness. However, that doesn't run till later on in the day, these days anyway. And really, I think in part that's getting people to Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking that was the way. That was the other thing I was going to say. Hoop-Dee-Doo. So much fun. It's dinner and a show. It includes alcoholic beverages, specific ones like beer, sangria, wine. It is like down home country cooking. It's good.
Oh yeah. It's baked beans and fried chicken, but it's good.
Cornbread and strawberry shortcake. Like it's It's good food. It's a really fun show. I personally don't think there's a bad seat in the house, but there are like tiers to the different seatings. Like you can pay more to be closer. Keep in mind that if you're closer, you may be asked to participate.
Right.
So if that's not your jam, maybe don't do that. But I do think that Fort Wilderness is a lot of fun. Also, there are people who make it essentially a second home for them. They're like my grandparents, except they're on the East Coast. My grandparents are on the West Coast. My grandparents will spend months of the year in Arizona in their motorhome, and there are people that do the same thing at Disney at the campgrounds in their motorhome. They decorate for all of the holidays. At Christmas time, you can come see all the lights. They decorate for Halloween. It used to be that you could go trick or treating there at Halloween. They don't allow that anymore unless you're staying on the campground property, I believe, or maybe they just don't allow it at all. I don't know. They've changed it. Things have changed since the last time I was there, is my point. It is also a common misconception. Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge are not the same thing. There used to be a path that you could walk from one to the other many, many moons ago when I worked at Wilderness Lodge. That no longer exists. The two are not connected. You have to take a bus to get from one to the other, or drive, or so on and so forth. That being said, they are very similar, like theming. They're both very like woodsy, outdoorsy, wilderness, if you will.
Yeah, well, one's a luxury resort, right?
Yeah,
And then one's a rustic campground.
right. It's literally like if you were going to a national park and you had the options to camp or the options to stay at the hotel. That is basically what it is.
Right.
Um, it is, like you said, it's for a very specific type of person. Something to keep in mind regarding transportation. If you are going to the parks or to Disney Springs, you are getting on a bus to get to those destinations from the parking lot. So you are either taking the internal bus or you have rented a golf cart for your trip. And that is how, or you're walking, depending on, I guess, where you're located in the campgrounds. But you will be having to get yourself to the parking lot, or if you're going to Magic Kingdom, to the boat launch in
Right.
order to get to a destination. So, in the way that we talk about the moderate resorts and how there's a bunch of bus stops to get you to where you need to go because you're like circling this giant resort, it's honestly, in my opinion, worse than that because of the fact that you're hoping that your buses are timing correctly, that
Mhm.
the Epcot bus didn't just leave as your internal bus is pulling up, or vice versa. It's the end of the night. You got off your Epcot bus and now you have to wait for the internal bus that's going. Because I believe there's two internal bus lines, like there's different colors, if I'm remembering correctly. And you have to make sure you get on the right one to go to where you're staying. So it can be convoluted. You can pay for a golf cart to rent. They do book up. There, if you're going during peak season, you may not be able to get a golf cart because there's only a certain amount of them. So it's a situation where if I were staying there, I would have a car with me and I would be renting a golf cart, and that's the only way I think I could reasonably do it personally.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit on a few good things. So we talked about the one section was the um, cabins, and the other section
Mhm.
is all of the campground, right? So they have a ton of specific categories that you could book, from tent space to RV hookups and all different kinds of things within that. So you can potentially rent a tent space for like $60 a night, right? I mean, in
Yeah.
Disney World, which is pretty wild. They have access to, as any campground does, right? Like shower facilities and
Hmm.
other care facilities, so you can get to that should you need it. Um, but I think and the other thing that you mentioned was that path closed in between Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge because they started to build a resort. Then COVID happened, they canned it, but actually now they're back at building it. So there will be a whole nother, yep. And in fact, actually, just the other day, someone sent me pictures of cranes over there and said, "What's going on over there?"
Oh
So
boy.
it's going to be another DVC resort, Disney Vacation Club resort,
Hmm.
that they're building. But yeah, so we have lots happening over there, but it's just very large, as you said, and you're moving around. Food's
Yeah.
good, though.
Food's
Food's
good.
good.
Trails End is good.
Trails
I've
End is
heard that's
good.
good. Yeah.
Hoop-Dee-Doo Revue. There's the horse stables are there, so
Hmm.
they have the things. Isn't that where the archery is too?
They have the things.
I don't look. I'm not. I don't want to do any of that. I can't even pretend like this is something that I would ever recommend. I mean, I don't, and it's not an offense to anyone. I know there's
No.
people. I guess we should probably talk about the campground itself, specifically the campground has like a cult following of
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. People are like obsessed.
yeah, go and stay for
The thing that is important to note, we're talking about how camping isn't for us. Good luck finding availability at the campground, because that's the other
correct.
thing is that the second that the next year is released, they're
People snag
booked.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, so like it's not for us, but it is for somebody. It is for a lot of somebody's. And I again, like having visited my grandparents when they're motorhoming, like I get it. I completely understand. I could never camp in a tent in like 100-degree, 100% humidity. Absolutely not. That sounds
or in
awful to me.
Florida in general, where there's lots of wildlife.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but there's cool stuff. There's yeah, we've got Hoop-Dee-Doo, you got Trails End.
You
The
have the
pools
horse
aren't
stables,
bad. The
the
horse
archery you
stables.
can sign up
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
In the holiday time, they have the horse and buggy ride, like the
Right.
holiday
Mm-hmm.
horse and buggy rides.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so there's things to do. And again, $60 a night for
Mm-hmm.
Disney on-site privileges. There's nowhere you're going to find that, right?
No. Mm-mm.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's for somebody.
right, just not us.
And I do want to, now that the cabins have been remodeled, I would like to stay in one once. Before they were remodeled, I didn't have any desire to. Chris, you and I, you'll sleep on the
Maybe
pullout and I'll sleep in the bed, and then the bunk beds will be empty.
we
It's
could
just you
try
and
it
me.
out. It is nice because it's a full kitchen and you get all
Hmm.
that. You get the mousekeeping and everything.
Hmm.
But
But then
uh,
also your order's getting like delivered to you. If you're like ordering groceries, is there a lobby? There's got to be a lobby, because how are they checking in?
they check in and like they drive through like almost like a toll booth.
See,
Yeah,
I've never, my experience uh, with Fort Wilderness has only been like being on property and going over to Fort Wilderness. I've never
same.
stayed at Fort Wilderness myself, so I don't
I
know that
have
feeling.
driven though to Hoop-Dee-Doo Review myself, so that's how I
Oh,
knew. I
I've
know that.
walked the pathway. That's how long it's been since I did Hoop-Dee-Doo.
There you go. Yeah, so I think maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. Um,
Yeah.
it's definitely a unique experience,
Hmm.
right? But as Kayla said, it's often sold out, so
Hmm.
it is for somebody.
Yeah.
Um, you just have to know, especially if you're going to the cabins, if you're like, "Ooh, wow, I'm a family of six. I can easily sleep. We have a separate
Yeah.
bedroom, a full kitchen. This is great." And maybe it is, but you have to know what you're signing up for. And that's, I think,
Hmm.
what we were trying to get at earlier
Yeah.
in this.
Do they have charcoal grills? I think that's one of the only places on property that you can grill.
I don't know that answer.
Yeah, there are grills. Each cabin comes equipped with its own charcoal grill and picnic table. I thought so. So
Out
that's
on the,
a cool thing
yeah,
if you're into that sort of thing.
yeah. If you vacation and cook for yourself, it's not really me.
Listen, I don't have access to a grill where I currently live, and I love grilled, like
Yeah,
summertime grilling, delicious.
right.
So that could be a selling point for people. You don't know their lives.
Yeah, if you're there for a long period of time too. Yeah,
And if you literally, your option is you're in a tent and you can only use the charcoal grill to cook, then you're
true,
going to use the charcoal grill to cook.
true, true. Hmm.
Well, that's Fort Wilderness. Like I said, it's sort of it's this weird, like, yes, it's classified as a deluxe resort. It's not
Only in the
really.
cabins though, not when you stay
Yeah,
in the
yeah, right. And when you
campground.
it doesn't classify as anything when you're in the campground.
No.
That being said, keep listening. I think we're probably going to do this about Disneyland too, just because there's it's good to talk through this stuff, and probably Universal Studios Orlando as well.
Hmm.
But that's a wrap for real this time on Walt Disney World Resorts. And until next time, let's just go.